On the 19th of October in 2015, the people of Canada gave a commanding mandate. The Liberal Party secured a decisive victory in the federal elections. The Liberals won 39.5% of the popular vote. It was the second best performance in the party's history, and Canada was witnessing a political storm. It was a new beginning, and the Liberal Party brought new hope. Canada had picked a new leader, 44-year-old Justin Trudeau. Justin Pierre James Trudeau was born in Canada's capital, Ottawa, in 1971. He's the son of Canada's 15th Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau. From a very young age, Justin Trudeau saw the chambers of Canada's top political office, and Trudeau decided to follow his father's footsteps of joining politics. Young Trudeau became involved with the Liberal Party throughout the 2000s. By 2007, Trudeau had won the Liberal Party's nomination. Within a year, Trudeau found himself as an opposition leader in the parliament. In 2015, the political tide in Canada turned in favor of Trudeau. He became the second youngest Canadian to become Prime Minister. Trudeau was seen as the savior of young Canada, a politician with a lot of promise, someone who wanted to make Canada the leader of the free and liberal world order. In his first few years as Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau promised to do politics differently, and he definitely followed his word. He first tackled gender misrepresentation and inequality. He named a cabinet that had an equal number of men and women. In a first for Canada, Trudeau also brought in 4 leaders who practiced Sikhism into his cabinet. Trudeau also ensured equal pay for men and women. He made the recreational use and possession of marijuana legal and openly called himself a feminist. In short, Trudeau became extremely popular among the young voters of Canada. He was smart, good-looking, and proficient with Gen Z speak. Trudeau even called himself a Swiftie, a word that's used by followers of the popular singer Taylor Swift. Trudeau was seen as the young and upcoming leader in the West, and he quickly became the face of the liberal world order. The optics at the world stage had done wonders for Trudeau's image. He was seen as a modern leader whose values resonated with young voters. Despite enjoying international fandom, storm clouds against Trudeau had been brewing at home. In 2019, Canada's Ethics Commissioner announced an investigation against Trudeau. The Prime Minister had been named in the persecution of a Canadian company, SNC Lavalin. Very soon, the SNC Lavalin affair became a political scandal, and Trudeau was accused of using his office for interfering with the justice system. To top this, photos of Trudeau in brown and blackface became public. He was facing flack from all sides, so he dissolved the parliament and triggered elections. Though the Liberal Party lost 20 seats since taking power in 2015, Trudeau was able to secure a second term as Prime Minister. A year later, the world saw the COVID-19 pandemic. Trudeau saw the implementation of Canada's mass vaccination program. It mandated vaccination for anyone entering Canada, and this led to the Freedom Convoy protests by Canada's truckers. To deal with the protesters, Trudeau did the unthinkable. He invoked the Emergencies Act and declared a public order emergency. This was the first time that the Emergencies Act was used since 1988. It caused Trudeau's approval ratings to take a drastic hit and triggered an anti-Trudeau sentiment in Canada. During his initial years as Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau shared a great rapport with American President Barack Obama. However, things changed the moment Donald Trump became president. Trump and Trudeau started a tariff war against each other. At the same time, Canada's relationship with China deteriorated. This was after Canada detained the chief financial officer of Chinese firm Huawei. Canada's relation with Saudi Arabia also took a hit. But Canada's biggest downgrade in relations happened with India. India has always accused Trudeau of supporting anti-India elements in Canada. These are people that have secessionist ideologies of creating Khalistan. New Delhi has constantly demanded that Ottawa crack down on Khalistani separatists. But Trudeau has remained adamant. He says that Canada stands for freedom of expression. Things went completely downhill this month. Trudeau came to India for the G20 summit. He was completely snubbed by the administration. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi even scolded Trudeau for supporting Khalistani supporters. To make things worse, his official plane suffered a technical snag, and the Canadian Prime Minister had to overstay his welcome. Trudeau went back to Canada with a fractured ego. And then the tantrums began. He accused India of orchestrating the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil, an accusation that India has called absurd. Trudeau's government even expelled a senior Indian diplomat and launched a campaign to malign India. What did India do? New Delhi also expelled a senior Canadian diplomat. In fact, India even asked Canada to downsize its embassy staff. Then, India suspended visas for Canadians and issued a travel advisory for Indian tourists and students traveling to Canada. Clearly, Justin Trudeau has shot himself in the foot. International support for Trudeau is fading, and so is his domestic fan base. Recent polls show that Trudeau has an approval rating of only 30%. Is this the end of Justin Trudeau? The Prime Minister, who was once the ideal Liberal leader, is now considered a nuisance by Canadians and the world.
Well, hello there, partner. Go on and hang up your hat, grab yourself a whiskey, and pull up in the easy chair. We're coming off the range of 9 to 5s with a whole herd of news stories that we've been steaming over like a cow patty in the Texas heat. As they say, the chickens are finally coming home to roost. And we're here to ruffle some feathers and ensure accountability ain't just a concept, it's reality. It's that time where the day's drama casts its longest shadow. So let's light a candle to the chaos of current events, the whirlwind of politics, and the tangled webs of corruption that we find ourselves entwined by. It's time to ramble our way into the twilight. Welcome to Sunset Rants.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Sunset Rants, where we catch you up with the breaking news headlines and posts to get you caught up by sunset. I'm AK, your favorite guy, and tonight we have a very special episode. We have not one, but two special guests. But before we get there, here's my favorite special guest, Biddy. How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? Hey, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Biddy. You can find me at ElizabethBiddy213 on YouTube, ElizabethBiddy213A on X and Instagram.
That's right. And you can find me on X, @TheRealRoma_AK. And do me a favor, hit that follow button, and let's get Roman Nation to 4K tonight. And we do have a Discord that's open to the public, where we're currently looking for like-minded individuals to join the Roman Nation and Sunset Rants team. If you think you've got what it takes to be a researcher, producer, creator of content, this is the place where you can volunteer to help make that happen. Because I believe that everyone should have the ability to spread their word in this post-cancel culture.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. We also have a website. That's right.
Yes.
Our website, where Sunset Rants is part of Rise of Middle America Network, where you can see our most recent content, news, rants, and deep dives, as well as up-and-coming events that you don't want to miss. So if you want more breaking news stories, on-the-ground coverage of events happening here in America, join our Discord, become a Platinum or Diamond member, where you get perks into the future of the Roma Nation Network. Look at those beautiful faces. All of them. Just look at them. All right. We also got a PayPal link down here if you want a monetary contribution to help us out. And don't forget, Biddy, tomorrow is the big day, isn't it?
Man, yes, it's finally here. I mean, I already voted yesterday, but I mean, tomorrow's the big day. You know, we still got a lot of people out there who haven't. So let's go. Get out there and vote.
That's right. And then, of course, tomorrow I've got a 12-hour live broadcast. We've got a
Yes.
bunch of special guests that are going
Coffee's
to be
already
here.
set up to brew.
Oh man, it's been brewing since yesterday. All right. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to push this post-cancel culture society to the next level. Biddy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Get
Let's do it.
Our special guests on stage.
Bring him on. Let's do it.
All right. So our first guest, he's running for District 77 state representative in the state of Florida. And our second guest is X's favorite Canadian. So please welcome Libertarian candidate Joshua Krakow and Kat Canada.
I do love that bump.
I love it too.
I'm over here like.
I know you guys have been waiting patiently. Thank you very much. How you guys doing? Joshua, what's going on?
Not too much. How are you today?
Doing good, doing good. Just preparing, and I never have a day off, so and I'm pretty sure you don't either.
Working hard. Yeah.
Absolutely. Kat Canada. Nice
Hello.
to finally see you on screen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Yeah, as you can see, we put that first bump in there especially for you.
Real people.
Exactly. But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to find out a little bit about you guys first with you, Josh. Who is Joshua Krakow?
Well, I'm 35 years old, lifetime resident of Lee County, Florida, where I hope to represent. I went through our public education system down here. I decided at 18 I was going to join the Marines, and unfortunately I was in a motorcycle accident when I was 19. Lost my leg. Decided to just start to get into security because I wanted that thrill and feel like I was able to protect others in self-service. Went to school for mechanics, just your average Joe. Built my own engines. Just recently got into politics and learning a lot. So
beautiful. Yeah. So speaking of like mechanics, you're talking about a car mechanic?
yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite car?
I like the unique stuff. I mean, my favorite car I would say is like a Pagani Zonda, but that's unaffordable.
Yeah.
But I like the unique stuff. So I have a dune buggy that has 680 horsepower in the garage.
Oh my goodness.
So
yeah, I had so my work van had broke down last week, so I had to go get it serviced. And typically we have to get ourselves a large SUV. Well, I ended up getting a 2025 Cadillac Escalade with 700 horsepower. It was amazing.
Wow.
yeah.
I had an Escalade before, but it was an old one. It was like a used one. But I mean, that thing has some power too. And you're just like rumbling over things. It's really good to be up that high, especially when you're short.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, right. So from mechanics to politics. So what got you into that?
Well, I have a 6-year-old, and I went through our family court system and tried to navigate it and saw all the corruptions in it. I've had 2 lawyers. Unfortunately, it seems like they really have no interest in the best interest of the children. It's just a game of profits. And then I reached out to our state representative and tried to get something going and say, hey, I'll help you with your campaign. But I think family court has been a problem for many years, and politicians never want to talk about it. It's the third rail. And unfortunately, they had no interest. I then connected with a gentleman and now have a nonprofit for single dads, and kind of have been working the nonprofit circle and just kind of trying to run on the single dad stuff, and then just doing the traditional door knocking, and kind of, you know what, if you're not going to do it, nobody else will. So
Right.
it's not really something. I have no aspiration to be a politician. I wish that there was somebody that I could hand the torch off to and know that it would take it to the finish line. But unfortunately, I don't think, and I haven't seen anybody in a while to do that. So I felt this sense of duty to step up.
Well, I think most of America is with you. When you speak of, people not being able to pass the torch over, talk about real issues that are happening, and you can definitely see that in a lot of the campaigns. Will bring in celebrities and things like that who have absolutely no idea how regular people live.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what exactly is your goal then? If you are, let's say, if you do win, what exactly is your goal first day in the office?
Well, I mean, I'm not there to make friends first and foremost.
Mhm.
If when I get elected, I acknowledge that it was everyone that showed up, waited in all the long lines, and voted for me, and those are the people that I'm fighting for. And I'm very heavy on a policy campaign, so
Mhm.
I'm making sure that people know what I plan on flooring my first year.
Mhm.
So that way, it gives them a representation of, hey, he actually knows our concerns and the solutions that I hope to propose. I have no plans on compromising on any of them. Uh, it I don't know if one person voted for me on because they like that one policy,
Mhm.
or whether it's another. We need to push for everything, and I'm there to demand respect because that's what my community needs. They need the respect, and I'm there to start providing it for them and set higher standards for our politicians. So
Absolutely.
Well said.
I love the way you think, because there's not many people who are willing to put their foot down and say, enough is enough. Like, this is what we need to do. You know, um, so I know that you're familiar with the storms that came through Florida this year. Seems like back to back years, you guys have just been getting hammered. Um, uh, you talked something about an emergency rescue bill.
yeah.
Knowing that the future with future storms and the issues that they might cause, what would you do to combat that issue with natural disasters and people that typically stay behind during those emergencies?
So I have one of my bills is to put the onus on the individual
Hmm.
rather than on the collective. Especially as you said, we had Hurricane Ian, which was the most devastating that I've ever seen in my lifetime down here.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I think we've saw like 20 something foot storm surge on the beach, and
Oh my
I
God.
don't know how many people died. I've heard friends that their parents were standing on furniture, just trying to get breaths, fearing that they might die. And with that being said, I I want to put the onus on those individuals rather than on the taxpayer to rescue them. Um, my district is inland, so we lose a lot of our resources in EMS,
Hmm.
fire, and police, and they're spending all the extra resources and utilities out on the beach to rescue people, and we're still paying that bill. Where I think you look at places like Colorado, if you decide to pull over and climb the mountains and the boulders, it's perfectly legal. But if you fall and get hurt and you can't get yourself up, you're going to get a rescue bill. And I think that that's the same thing. We shouldn't, if we have plenty of time to be warned. This would only be providing the current infrastructure for emergency A zone,
Hmm.
where we actually have seen these storm surges that do threaten lives. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
if your car's flooded, that's not a hurt or a emergency. It's when your house is flooded and we're having to come rescue you in high waters and put people's lives at risk. So
Well said. Well said. So as far as your potential constituents, what do you say to them to prove that you're ready for the job?
Well, I've been around the block. I am definitely not one to shy away from any conflict. Unfortunately, it seems like it's nonstop conflicts in politics, and I think that a lot of people are really tired of seeing a lot of politicians turn belly for profit. And I am already calling out the corporations. I'm calling out the school board. I'm fighting against the corrupt sheriff that we have here. Just continuously educating myself on my community and trying to make sure that everything down below me is held to account, because state house is, we only work from March until May. So it's a really short time. And I don't believe that the job just is in Tallahassee. It needs to be in our community and active and staying active. And I plan on, a lot of them have seen the work ethic that I put into this campaign. And I plan on continuously putting that as I proceed, because I want to be the politician that that other politicians aspire to be, and make it known that the corporations, you can spend all the money that you want, but without good policy and without a good candidate, you're going to lose. We got to win with work ethic and policies.
Right on, right on. Yeah. Well, we definitely do wish you the best of luck. I know
Absolutely.
that Cat Canada has been waiting patiently over here. How are you doing? We're gonna move just a little bit north of the border here. So how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So obviously that's not a Canadian accent. So so
No.
where are you originally from?
So I hail from a communist country that my parents escaped to brought me here to the free Western world.
There you
So
go.
Amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
now I'm doing what I can to make sure the country I'm currently in doesn't turn communist.
Hey, absolutely. I think we're all trying to do that, especially on this continent.
Mhm.
When did you migrate over here?
So it was, I think, in the early 90s. I think in 92 we came here.
Okay.
I was just a kid. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And did you go to school? I mean, obviously you went to school up there, but did you go to college up there, or did you go to any?
No, so I was only 11 when we came here to Canada. So I went to high school and college here.
Okay.
And I received just a little bit of communist indoctrination. They tried really hard. um, back in the USSR, they failed majorly because everyone that knew what the West was like back there
Right.
was desperate to escape
Oh,
our country to come here, to come to, well, America was the shining beacon that people were desperate to escape to. Canada was a close second. And when we realized that the lineups to go through the channels to get into America were like 10 to 15 years via the embassy over there in Moscow, or wherever it was, I can't remember exactly. We said, you know what, we'll try our luck a little bit more north. And here we ended up in the true north, strong and free, which is what we're fighting to keep it strong and free, and not letting it fall into the hands of the commies.
there you go. Or what I like to call America's toque.
Yes, yeah, I've heard it called that, America's hat.
Exactly.
Aw.
So know that you've been there for a while. What do you like about Canada? Like what inspires you to stay there?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. There's the people, there's the landscape, there's the ocean. I'm on the West Coast here. Um, I can't really escape it, even if I wanted to, because of my personal life. That's a different story. But I just also have a heart to fight for a country that I love. So
Mhm.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm disappointed in the people who give up. Personally, I mean, they can do what they want, but even if I didn't have children and I was not, tied down to here, I would still want to stay and, try to turn things around. It's
Yeah.
working. I don't know how much people pay attention to Canadian politics. It's been getting a bit spicy. I see some American pundits talking about it. So it's things are bubbling and boiling over here. And Canadians are increasingly displeased with the current government. And we're pushing back. It's becoming very, very obvious that people are displeased with what's happening. So everyone's getting involved. Everyone's excited to toss this China-loving, blackface-wearing guy out. And that's what we're hoping to do in 2025.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All the best to you, man.
Yeah, because my next question was going to be, what are the recent issues that you see need to be fixed? But I think you answered that one already.
Oh gosh, there's so much. Well, there's the big issues. There is unchecked mass immigration, which is obviously causing all kinds of chaos: housing, healthcare, unaffordability, etc. There is their absolutely insane, unscientific agenda with all the climate stuff. They are doubling and tripling down on the climate catastrophe nonsense. And so they're taxing us to think, they're taxing us because they think that taxes will change the weather. They think taxes will make weather gooder, as the meme goes. Okay.
It's almost like they're coming from the same playbook as America and other places that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, almost like
Oddly similar.
Somewhere wrote some book called Agenda 2030 or Great Reset or something like that, and it's almost like they've all read it. Almost, it's eerily similar. Yeah. So pay attention to what's happening in Canada, America, is my plea to you guys, because what happens here, if left unchecked, happens about 5 years down the road in the US of A. So, stay vigilant, stay strapped, buy guns, buy even more ammo. Don't give up your guns, toss the commies out and stay free, please, for the sake of...
By the way, T-Bone says hi to everyone on stage.
Hi, T-Bone.
Hi, T-Bone.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, T-Bone, he is going to be one of my correspondents out in Pennsylvania, making sure that things in Pennsylvania are staying legal and making sure that they do the right thing. So
yeah, and he's young and hungry.
He
got
is
stamina.
definitely young and hungry. He was just at the Trump rally earlier today and caught himself on camera during one of the
rallies.
Instagram, one of the Instagram posts. He was like, "Look, it's me. I'm over here." So no, but we completely understand that, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. So we have to be careful over here. But there is something personally I wanted to ask you: is how do you like your new home?
Do you mean Canada, or do you mean the place I recently moved into?
Yes.
Both?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, I love Canada. It's definitely better than back where I'm from. It's still more free, and it's still less corrupt than overseas in the Eastern Europe place where I'm from, Moldova. Right. Although, I don't know how much better, because they've got a woke WEF UN type leader now over there as well. So it's just everywhere. The corruption and the infestation of the globalists is everywhere, unfortunately. But yeah, I still very much love it here. It's beautiful. Like I said, the people, I have a passion for it, to keep it beautiful, to not let it fall in the hands of the wrong people. So that's what I'm trying.
From what I can see, it's very pretty. But you know what? That's why we need more politicians like Joshua here, Mr. Krakow, because we need uncompromising individuals who are hungry, who have something, like some skin in the game. as he said, like he dealt with the courts and everything, and saw how hard it is for, unfortunately, the courts for a long time have been favoring the mothers just almost as a default, and whether or not they're qualified, and whether or not the kids actually want to stay with the mother, and also just kind of kicking the man to the curb, almost like he didn't have a hand in making the child. And so that can definitely get on you. And so I think that that's pretty amazing that that he's doing that. But it's just more of that, it's more of people that are just not, having like, because you can have some sort of aspirations, you can say that you want to get to different levels so you can affect change in those areas as well. But if you don't go into it saying like, I'm hoping to be at the top someday, and I'm just going to, do whatever I got to do, make friends with this person, take money from that person, however I can get to the top, that's when you start losing what you started for, like losing that drive of why you started it to begin with. And I think that happens at, obsession with money can corrupt. It just can. And it's very, very hard to say no to it and to hold on to it. But, when you have something like I said, that's dear to your heart, like, love for your children, that's something that I hope can propel you past that greed. That makes sense. And I hope you win. From what you've told us, it sounds like you have some great ideas, some things that are might be a little controversial, but still sound great.
I think she's talking to you, Josh.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm listening. Sorry, I muted myself.
No.
No, I absolutely agree. Yeah, no, the problem really is the family court system is a civil court, and it's been operating like a hybrid court where they allow criminal accusations, and then they effectively create jobs for the psychologists to do investigations, when I believe that the criminal accusations should be left to DCF and DJJ, which definitely need reform to Department of Children, Family, and Department of Juvenile Justice. But we need to bring the civility, in my opinion, back to the family court, or just finally bring it back to the family court and have the focus be on unifying the family and not having any ability to divide it.
Yes.
Right. I absolutely agree. Amen to that, brother. Yeah. So, Kat, I've got one last question for you before we move on to our next segment. I want to put some things to rest, because you've been attacked a lot online for a very specific reason, and I really wanted to get that out there so we can lay this to rest.
Sure.
So there were a lot of like bombastic like rumors about you being a Russian bot, and that you were on X in Canada for nefarious means.
Oh man.
It's the one thing that they just like to make up. Yeah. So go on. I'm listening.
So what exactly would you like to say to those people right now, live on Sunset Rants?
Well, I'll say this. There was a very prominent figure here in Canada, a member of parliament, a sitting member of parliament of the Liberal Party in Canada, the Federal Liberal Party, who decided to foolishly, baselessly accuse me of being a paid foreign agent and to interact with him.
Are you talking about this guy right here?
Yeah. Yeah. So he carelessly threw that accusation at me on X, foolishly, because he did not have the parliamentary privilege on X to say something stupid, and so he left himself open for defamation. And unfortunately for him, all the criteria was met for defamation with that baseless accusation, and so we were forced to teach him a little bit of a lesson, and tell him that you can't exactly just go lying about people you disagree with. And so we pursued legal action against him, and as you can see there, he was forced to very publicly apologized for making up such ridiculous lies about me on X. And so whenever anyone else tries to hurl that accusation at me, I just basically go, "Don't make me tap the sign." And I point to that very public apology.
Right there.
Wow.
See, this is the type of sweet justice that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're able to squash any kind of issues sometimes through the legal system. Sometimes you have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure, with me being sort of like an intermediate podcaster right now, that's going to be down the road for me as well. I know. So I have to, cross my own T's, dot my own I's, and make sure that I don't say anything, that could potentially get me in trouble. Nonetheless, somebody else say something about me that could ruin my brand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very thin line. And I'm glad that you were able to get that taken care of. So everybody that's on X, you heard it right here on Sunset Rants.
But you know what's so crazy? It's like because you introduced yourself, right? You spoke about like your concerns and the things. We watched the video. We saw how Trudeau's whole thing like played out, and everything that you had to say against everything that's going on and your fears and concerns. How do they take that and to say that you would want more government control by saying you're a Russian, but like how does that even make sense? I mean, I know I'm like preaching to the choir here, but it's just like it doesn't make sense. Where do you even come out with that?
They'll just parrot anything they hear.
Yeah,
that's the thing. They are programmable NPCs, and when the media feeds them a certain narrative, they take it and they run with it. With complete abandon, without doing any fact checking, without any critical thought, without any concern for the truth. They'll just run with it. And you saw it in your own country with the Russia for how many years.
Oh my goodness.
They just took that, and anyone that says something that they disagree with, especially if it's a woman, a conservative woman, or just any conservative person, they'll immediately just paint you with the, I don't know, Russia brush. It's hilarious. And I mean, they even did it, for example, I don't know if you guys saw, because like I said, I don't know how close you pay attention to the politics in Canada, but they did that to at a foreign interference hearing here in Canada. Our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, the man of your introduction, the subject of your introduction, accused Jordan Peterson and Tucker Carlson of the exact same thing, baselessly, without any evidence whatsoever. It's just whoever criticizes me is a paid foreign agent, and I'm going to hide behind my privilege of testifying as a prime minister so that defamation can't be leveled against me, and I'll say what I want with impunity. It's disgusting. It's gross. It's the same thing with what Obama recently came out with. I think it was today, when he again perpetuated the find people on both sides hoax. Like, even
I've
us
debunked
here
that
in
so many
Canada.
times on this show. Like so many times I've debunked that.
I saw you did too on your post. I was like, yeah, get in here, girl. No, but it's so true. And you can't, unfortunately, well, okay, let's start out with the fortunately. Fortunately, a lot of people have been waking up. And I know that's the term that's been thrown around, but they really have been. A lot of people that I converse with, on the daily that, are like-minded, whatever, don't really like to go on TikTok for a lot of different reasons. I, however, wanted to, because I wanted to see what the climate was like for real on there, instead of getting it secondhand from people reposting it on other social media. So I went in there, and I'm able to see people, like numerous lives going on where people debate and they talk about things. And there are a lot of people that are changing their minds because they're seeing the government overreach. They're seeing that they're not consistent with their crazy. Like they're shouting about protecting women. However, you will allow a 6 foot tall brolic man into a woman's sport with your daughter to beat her to a pulp, essentially, and do like a boxing match or whatever. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, you can get into all of the other, like, really delicate topics, and whatnot, of course, but that's just one instance that are waking up a lot of people, especially, because when it comes to your kids, no matter what kind of like static you got going on here, I think for the most part, it clears it up for a lot of people and just says, wait, hold on now, like that's my daughter now. Like, what are you guys doing? So that's the fortunate side. Unfortunately, there are still people that are still walking zombies and are still listening to it and in their feelings, and and they do that very well, by keeping them in their feelings, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I know that Joshua, down in Florida, the first step was getting the books out of the schools, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty controversial, to be honest with you. We have parents one way or another. Democrats want one book in, Republicans want another, and yeah, so
You're kind of
another,
sandwiched in the middle.
yeah,
Having to make that
yeah.
decision. No, I understand. I know that that's a very sensitive subject. So I'll just say it. So it's that's one of those things that I do feel like that's happened over the past couple of decades, where we've gone away from the family and kind of gone more into a work first mentality, and it's like, hey, well, the government will take care of your children. And when that happens, this is where you get these situations in which how far is too far. And when left unchecked, you get to a point where you're too far, and then it's like, okay, well, now we have to draw a new line. Well, where do you draw that new line? You allowed this to happen for so many years, so how exactly do you fix that? But before, let me go ahead and jump off this subject before we get nuked from orbit. So this next segment, we're just gonna run through these real quick. So I want to talk about the Senate races. The Senate races going on. This is from CNN Politics. So the Senate control is up for grabs Tuesday. And although Republicans are well positioned to win a majority, Democrats cannot be counted out entirely. That's because their well-funded candidates have consistently overperformed in top of the ticket and polling in many of the most important races. Even as the Senate map has become more daunting for Democrats, with West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin retiring, opportunities mitigate GOP gains and opened up Texas and increasingly Nebraska. With Manchin almost certain to be succeeded by Republican, the GOP needs either pick up one more seat or win that White House and flip the chamber. The math puts the pressure on the Democrats to hold all competitive seats while trying to knock off Republicans in Texas and Florida. So my first thing is, what are you thinking about the Senate race right now, Joshua?
Honestly, I'm very much of a libertarian small government, and I think that people need to get off of the national focus and more or less focus on their states. I think that we really need to have strong states that bring back sovereignty to their states. Requirement for a state requires borders, government, and sovereignty. And I think that our states have given up their sovereignty to the national government, and I think we need to get our power back to the states and stop focusing so much on the federal stuff and global problems.
Absolutely, because I believe that if the states do reharness that power again, then it's much easier for states to band together and tell the federal government no. So no, this is not what we're doing. We saw that during COVID. There wasn't enough states that did it, but there were at least a couple of states that said, you know what, we're going to do things our own way. And Trump kind of allowed them to do that to an extent, but some states took it too far in one direction, some states took it too far in the other. Where there was no mandates versus complete and utter shutdown, where people lost their jobs or livelihoods, and that they haven't even recovered yet.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think that the lockdowns were the most tyrannical time of my lifetime. And before that, it would have been the internment camps, which I've always looked at as just one of the worst stains on American freedom. But yeah, no, it's it's crazy. I went to the Capitol, and I like to talk about Governor Carlton, who he had as a governor in 1929 to 1933.
Mhm.
And it was Al Capone had a bill called Betting on Hialeah, and he presented that bill to Governor Carlton with $100,000 bribe. And
Mhm.
he said, if my autograph is worth that much, I should probably keep it. And he vetoed it. And I mean, I'm sure you can imagine how Al Capone and his friends wanting to get gambling in Miami took to that. So there was major threats to him and his family. So President Hoover had sent military troops to guard him and his family. But with that being said, the most executive position 100 years ago didn't matter because the state legislature was bought off by Al Capone, which is how we got casinos in Florida with a supermajority that was overturning a governor's call out on improprieties.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of like protection in border states, let's go over here. We've got a 2024 Texas Senate Cruz versus Allred. It looks like Cruz is he's kind of cruising right now, no pun intended. But he can't sit back. You know, he needs to finish strong. And what do you think he needs to do in order to do so?
Honestly, I think I'm not too keen on a lot of the federal stuff, to be honest with you. I really look at a lot of the local stuff because really that's, I think, where we can actually meet our constituents. And I encourage a lot of these candidates to actually go to their communities and get off the media and try to do town halls and get out in their community, because that's really, I mean, I believe that there's a lot more support in the grassroots than the corporate dollar. And I've seen in my campaign, I mean, my voters are not just voters, they're fans of mine, and I've earned their respect humbly. And I think that that's what we need to get back to in politics. And I think that until we get that, we're going to be in status quo.
Well said. Well
Yeah.
said. Yeah, and especially with a lot of the election integrity, you know that can happen in any state, even in the darkest of red. You know, I've got this tweet here. This is from America First Legal. New Secretary Fontes did not want to produce the list of 218,000 and appeal to the Court of Appeals. His appeal was rejected. He must prove the list today. We need more judges like that, you know, who are going to come in, because it's not just the legislature, it's not just the governors, it's not just the president. Like you also need proud judges who are going to follow the rule of law and make sure that these things are happening. How do you think we fix that?
I've met judges on my campaign, and they are the hardest to really vet because of their clause of whether or not they may be brought, whether or not a case may be presented to them in the future. So they can't give you really any ethics position.
Like how they would sway. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can't really judge a judge on anything other than their past history of rulings. And it's so hard to really, unless if you're there and unless if we have cameras on these judges and we can process every ruling that they've had and we're following them like football players. I mean, it's almost impossible to hold these people accountable.
That's a very interesting thing that you just said, actually. If people were more in tune with our local politics as much as they are with the statistics of football players and baseball players and their history and their ERAs and all this other stuff. I mean, you know, people have the ability, you know, let's quote Kamala, right? People have the ability to think of many things at the same time. Yeah, they actually do. But, you know, our focus has always been, you know, kind of like in a tinfoil way, is stuck in the matrix. You know, we've just been like, you know, just give them the Coliseum, give them, you know, all this stuff to look at and you know, to pass the day through, and you're not paying attention to things like that you said that are very important, like your local politics and the things that actually affect your life and your kids' lives and your family and everything else. That's actually really good. That makes a good point.
Yeah, Fulford says Kat is going to boldly represent Canada in politics one day.
Hey, you never know.
I don't know
Kat's
if
got
I
so many
could.
fans out there. She
I don't know if
definitely
I
does.
don't know if I could do that. I don't know. Uh, you have
Hey,
to
you
like
never know.
tone down your speech, and I'm too conservative for Canada to run. I would not get elected.
That's funny. Yeah, so I'm speaking with Joshua about the election integrity and things, and not only do you need the judges to be able to enforce these different types of laws, but also in Canada you need the same thing, because when you look at something like this, and this is from BBC, where Trudeau announces sharp cuts to Canada's immigration targets. Why now? Why all of a sudden now? Is this his target?
Well, clearly because he's tanking and bombing in the polls. There was a moment in time, I think a few months ago, where his polling was so bad that some pollsters were predicting that he won't even form official opposition in the next his he won't even form official opposition in Canada in the next election. It would go to some like much lesser known party like the Bloc from the east. So
Right, right.
it's obviously a desperate move, and this headline doesn't even paint the whole picture, because the immigration cuts that he proposed weren't even the type that the average Canadian is actually looking for. It was more to do with temporary foreign workers and student visas or something like that. So
Mm,
it wasn't even as harsh as a cut that people would be hoping for. It's all just a desperate pandering attempt to remain relevant, because he knows, well, I don't know if he knows or not, he's a narcissist. They tend not to acknowledge their mistakes, but
Mhm.
someone's advising him to try and do at least something, some form of band-aid to rehabilitate his image that's just absolutely crashing and burning right now, thankfully,
mhm,
finally.
mhm.
Kind of similar to this, where Chinese agents are running Canada. Is this actually true? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, so that's the whole thing that I was mentioning during the foreign interference hearing, when he was accusing people like Tucker Carlson and Jordan Peterson of being paid Russian agents, which is when the whole hearing was about foreign interference in Canada that literally does have to do with Chinese agents being on our soil here. So
Mhm.
Mm.
and we don't have the names of the MPs involved. We recently learned of four. Three of them are liberal. And so it's just all deflect, deny, reverse victim order, whole Darvo situation happening here.
Mm.
It's a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you were talking about how there's a lot of issues with people with the economy, in the Canadian economy, especially now, because it states here, and this is from Reuters, that Canada's economy stalls in August and central bank's quarter three growth forecast in doubt. Um, so it says here, Canada's economy is likely to miss the Bank of Canada's revised third quarter forecast after a slew of temporary factors stalled gross domestic product growth in August. Data showed on Thursday, when business output was already anemic. Um,
Yeah,
and that,
he's
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
he's driving out investors. He's introduced energy production caps as a one last final screw you to the country before he gets tossed out in 2025. Provinces like here in the West, Alberta specifically, is launching legal challenges, constitutional challenges to his ridiculous climate agenda. And yeah, he's just completely anti-growth. He's completely pro climate alarmism here in Canada. It's hurting our economy. The mass immigration has literally doubled housing costs here.
Yeah.
Rent is doubled. Food is skyrocketing in prices because of his ridiculous carbon tax. It's making everything more expensive. Healthcare is in crisis. No doctors. Hospitals overrun because, again, mass immigration is causing buckling our systems.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
what else? It's just a total mess. It's a disaster. He is running Canada into the ground economically, culturally. He's divided the nation. It's horrific to witness, really. And I'm surprised that it hasn't woken up more people. There's people are waking up, but it still feels like a slowly slow, painful process. But there's signs of hope, and hopefully in 2025 we'll finally be rid of this China-loving blackface guy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm glad you guys could have joined us tonight. I mean, for us, Joshua, it's been a long time coming. We finally got you on. I'm glad we got you on right before the election. We've got a lot of people in here watching, not just on X, but also on YouTube and Rumble. Don't forget about you guys. And then Kat, I mean, we've kind of danced around each other for a couple of months, and I finally got you on. And I appreciate, definitely your time. I know you guys are very busy right now. We're all very busy. And I got one heck of a day tomorrow, so I got to get out of here and prepare for that. But do you have any final thoughts, Canada, before we wrap it up?
Yes, please tomorrow choose MAGA for the sake of your country, my country, and literally the whole world. We're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's funny. Joshua, what do you got? What would you like to say to your constituents before tomorrow?
Just read the policies. Start looking at your politicians. If they don't have policies, they're probably not representing you. They probably haven't door knocked. They probably are not trying to solve your problems. They're probably trying to solve the state's or corporation problems, which are what we need to start fighting against. So look into transparencyusa.org. You can learn a lot about where their donations come from, how they spend them. In Florida, our state house, candidate funds often are used as political action committee funds, where they end up donating them to their own friends to make sure that their bills get passed. So make sure that your politicians are spending their campaign funds on interest of your own.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, guys, I appreciate having you on. You guys can find me on X at @therealroma_AK. We've got our Discord. We've got our website. As soon as I can pull it up, because every single time I do this, I always forget to pull the tab. Here we go. riseofmiddleamerica.com. Our Discord link works. It works this time. I know a lot of people were clicking on it and they say, "Man, it's saying that it's
it keeps changing."
Yeah, we fixed it. Okay, we fixed it. So now every time it changes, it should change. So,
nice.
We've got that. You've got me there on X. You've got my YouTube and my Rumble. You can find me everywhere on this page. So once again, thank you guys for coming on. Biddy, you as always. We're always here on Mondays. I will see you tomorrow as well for our long day. And I want to thank our followers for watching tonight. So
yes, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
It was really nice to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
Really great.
It was a lot of fun tonight. All right. Well, everyone, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good night.